Need cheap coins right now? Check out redzonecoins.com. For the very best discount available, use code DIRECTOR for 20% off.
Yo, Oda brothers, what's up? It's the Director. Chargers fans, I got a topic I want to go over with you guys today. A very interesting one revolving around injured players, because the Chargers had a few of those. We had quite a few of those. But I also want to give you guys some hope. I think a lot of these players are going to be returning from IR and injury a lot sooner than you think. A couple days ago, I was poking around on the CBS Sports website, and I came across this list right here. Don't know how completely accurate this is, but according to this list here, we've got some surprise returns coming in the next couple of weeks. And this could be very significant to the Chargers' second half of the season. I'm talking revenge tour. I'm talking this team might actually explode and find a huge streak through the next coming weeks. So before we get started, guys, I'm going to go through all these, the significance of every single player. Before we do get started, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this content. The small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into this video. Lights, camera,
action.
Chargers players returning from injury, the big names and the big reasons why this is going to make a huge difference in the Chargers' second half of the season. So, biggest reason why I kind of stumbled on these topics was because of a couple articles I've seen the past couple of days, including this one on ProFootballTalks.com. There's an NBC kind of website here. Chargers designate Melvin Ingram for return from injured reserve. I was like, cool. We really needed Melvin Ingram back. Because, you know, Joey Bosa is great, but at the same time, he performs better when Melvin Ingram is on the opposite side of him. There's less people, you know, blocking him. There's less double teams and stuff like that because they have to account for guys like Melvin Ingram as well. So I thought to myself, okay, this is a pretty big game changer. This is a starter for this team. This is one of the, I would say, top 10 defensive ends in football right now, maybe top 12. He's very good. And to see him come back, just this one player in Melvin Ingram, is pretty significant for this defense. So what could this mean if we had a crap ton of other players with the same kind of caliber come back to the Chargers all at once? I'm not quite sure if any team's quite ready to handle a team that's kind of, you know, risen, you know, rise back from the ashes like a phoenix, because this team who's been missing so many, you know, quality players, not just, you know, like, you know, backups and second, third stringers. These are all starters, guys. These are like some of the top at their position in the league kind of players, and we're about to see a lot of them come back. So starting here at the top, all right, Justin Jones, Melvin Ingram. We just went through the article right here. Melvin Ingram's designated to return, and at the same time, it looks like Justin Jones, defensive tackle, should be making a return around the same time. So we're expecting to see them back week 7. All right, that's pretty significant. That defensive line's about to see a huge boost. We may start to see Joey Bosa get back on track with double-digit sacks this year, including the Chargers as a whole with Melvin Ingram, Justin Jones returning. The sacks should go back up, okay? Next up, we've got Casey Hayward. Now, I haven't been able to find much on Casey Hayward's injury. It is undisclosed. We haven't heard an update since October 15th, but he is questionable to return in week 7. Now, my guess is that if it was pretty bad, we may have heard something by now, and yet we haven't. So I'm going to go ahead and guess that a lot of these questionable players just coming off of a bye week, there's probably a better chance of them playing than there isn't. And from what I saw in Casey Hayward, in the last game that they played, I wasn't quite sure why he went out. Again, his injury is still undisclosed, but maybe there's a good chance that he does come back. And I'm pretty sure, I would say there's an 80-20 chance in my personal opinion, okay? Next up, we got two pretty big ones right here, Trey Turner and Brian Bulaga. Let's take a look at Brian Bulaga's injury history these past couple of weeks. He's been sitting out for quite a while, dudes. He won't face the Buccaneers. He sat out this last week. Bulaga injures back in loss. This was against the Panthers in week 3. So he's been kind of out of it for the past, month or so. He only really played a little bit against the Panthers, and that's about it. So what I'm thinking is the time that he's had off with this bye week should serve as some good time to recover to come back in week 7. And the same can be said with Trey Turner, who's missed a lot of time as well. If the Chargers all of a sudden get two of their best offensive linemen back, this is going to help the offense out tremendously, and more specifically, Justin Herbert, who's already looked really good, kind of making, putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound with the offensive line that we have right now. The return of Brian Bulaga and Trey Turner could be very significant, and I'm expecting both of these. I'm guessing a lot of these questionable guys, I'm guessing that they're going to be returning really soon. Tyrod Taylor still recovering. Joey Bosa definitely needed that week off. I read an article about him saying he was super happy to get that bye week a little bit early because he needed the extra time. Hopefully that extra time does turn, into more productivity when he does return. Jenny Nwosu kind of got hurt this last game. I don't know if it was serious or not, but again, that's one I'm not too sure of. Hopefully he does make a return just in case we need some backup to, give Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram a rest between reps. Next, we've got Keenan Allen, who did injure his back. He seemed okay in that game. They were working on him on the sidelines. I'm going to guess that the extra week in the bye week definitely helped, and he'll be back to full health in week 7. But here comes some very, very interesting names here, guys. Names that I don't think a lot of people were expecting to return so soon. Biggest one here being Austin Eckler. One of the biggest ones, Austin Eckler, says he's on injured reserve, expected to return in week 8. I think that's a lot sooner than even I thought that he would be returning. I think what also might be the case with this list here is that they can activate them week 8, or they have up to 3 weeks from the IR period to activate them, is what I should say. So maybe, they could activate him week 8, but maybe it's more likely that he gets activated sometime between week 8 and week 10. But the same being said, there is a possibility that Austin Eckler could return in week 8, and that would be pretty significant. If I were a betting man, I would say that Austin Eckler probably returns week 9. Okay, but that's still just in a couple of weeks. Chris Harris Jr. expected back week 7. Okay, taking a look at Chris Harris Jr.'s report here. Chris Harris Jr. missed up to 6 weeks. This is on September 28th. So we are looking around 4 weeks since the injury by the time he does play. Okay, so 4 weeks would definitely be a little bit sooner than a lot of people thought, but still at most, he's going to be returning in week 10. So at the same time, it's not missing a lot of time, or week 9, I should say. Week 9 is around the time that he should be returning because the bye week did get moved up. So Chris Harris Jr. is returning as well. Did we get one on Austin Eckler too? I did look up one for Austin Eckler as well. Austin Eckler says he'll definitely be on his way to recovery, calls Justin Herbert the real deal. And later in the article, he does say that he's on pace to be coming back very soon. Says probably in 3 to 4 weeks, hopefully. The bye week definitely helped me, so I'll miss one less game. That's fantastic. So these guys are targeting week 9, but there's a good possibility that he does come back in week 8 as well. So that's also very soon. What's the last one I had here? Oh, Drew Tranquil. Okay, if we go back to this list right here, Mike Pouncey's not coming back, and Derwin James isn't coming back. But Drew Tranquil, a player that a lot of us thought may not be returning this year, because if we're being honest, that injury looked awful. Okay, that injury looked like it was a season-ending injury. A lot of us kind of wrote him off for the rest of the year. But funny enough, when I was going back and looking at the reports on this about Drew Tranquil, about his situation when he's eligible to return, there was never any mention that he's out for the year. They said, okay, broken fibula per Anthony Lynn, wouldn't rule him out for the season, but Tranquil will be out for a while. I looked for a lot of articles on Drew Tranquil, confirming that he would be gone for the year. I couldn't find any. Now, does that mean he is coming back, this season? I would say so. It doesn't mean he's coming back so soon, because in this report right here, it says week 8. And if you're looking at a fibula fracture, which is what he has right here, I'm not a doctor, so don't take, I'm no expert in this kind of stuff, but a quick Google search revealed that a clean broken fibula injury in the NFL for sports, for athletes, can heal as soon as 6 weeks. And that does match what we're seeing here on this report. Drew Tranquil back week 8. He was injured in week 1. So that's 8 weeks. So what does this all mean? The Chargers are reloading. The Chargers are getting ready for the revenge tour. Remember at the very beginning of the video, I was talking about how significant this one player is, Melvin Ingram. That's going to do wonders for this defensive line. Okay? You can say the same thing about a lot of these players. We've had Casey Hayward. I think the two biggest right now in offense for us is Brian Bulaga and Trey Turner. If these guys are finally healthy, that's a huge game changer for this offense. If Joey Bosa is feeling 100%, 80% Joey Bosa was dangerous last week, 100% Joey Bosa is going to be even more dangerous. Keenan Allen maybe getting back to 100% is pretty big. But the return of Austin Eckler to help get this run game back on track, to add that extra receiving threat out of the backfield. That's pretty significant. Chris Harris Jr. This defensive backcourt has been a little bit decimated in the last couple of weeks. That's a big return. That's just as big as Melvin Ingram coming back for this defensive line as is to Chris Harris Jr. in this defensive backcourt. That's pretty big. Drew Tranquil, who I honestly am so shocked to hear that may be returning this season. That's pretty significant. So when you kind of add all of these things up, the Chargers are kind of locked and loaded, reloading for the second half of the season. Now, of course, something could happen. This is sports. This is Chargers sports. Somebody could get re-injured. We could be back to square one just in like 1 week. We've seen what happens. Almost every week it seems like we were missing a huge piece of this team from injury. They were getting injured. That could definitely happen. But from what I see right now, from what my eyes are telling me right now, the Chargers are reloading. We're about to get a crap ton of players back at 100% and a crap ton of players back from IR just this upcoming Sunday. And then after that, we're looking at Austin Eckler, maybe Drew Tranquil, maybe Chris Harris Jr. coming back the week after. Guys, we're talking about almost all of the players that have been injured on this team, minus Mike Pouncey, Derwin James, returning to this team within the next 2 weeks. You tell me why I'm high on the Chargers. You tell me why I'm optimistic this Chargers second half is going to be absolutely insane. So in the comment section below, again, I'm the director, not the doctor. So I don't really know, the specifics of these injuries. I'm just kind of telling you guys what I have discovered, what I have found. I'm always online looking stuff up about the Chargers, and this is something very interesting that I stumbled upon. So in the comment section, if you have any insight as to what these dates mean, expected return week 7. Expected return doesn't mean in my mind that they will return week 7, but that's there for a reason. And it's already the case with Melvin Ingram and Justin Jones. That's been confirmed. So that kind of adds some validity to Austin Eckler, Chris Harris, and Drew Tranquil. Validity is what I was trying to say. I believe it's possible, guys. In the comment section, what do you guys think? How do you think this Chargers team is going to perform in the second half if we have all of these weapons back? Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. We'll see you next time. As always, bolt up and stay frosty.